Parker Finn, how dare you?
Huh?
How dare you make a grown man like me scream in a cinema at the top of my voice? This was just... I'm going to have to swear because it's just epic. Like, it was so good. I loved the first movie, and as soon as I saw that, like you and I talked about on the red carpet last night, this concept of it being based around a fandom, as soon as I saw that, I was like, brilliant. I don't feel like I've seen something like this before. And last night you talked about how you took a long time to come up with the idea, and you forced yourself to do that in your process that you said you wouldn't wish on anyone. I would love to know, what ideas did you throw around that you screwed up and threw away before you landed on this brilliant concept?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for everything you just said. That's so kind of you. Some of those concepts, I think, I threw away, and they'll stay thrown away rather than me revealing them. But I was really trying to find concepts that felt quite character driven, that felt like they could be harrowing sort of dramatic stories on their own. And that's what I really wanted to infuse into Smile 2. And it was about this world of this mega pop star that felt so ripe to sort of have Smile come in and
It's
invade.
a horror film on its own. You could take all of the horrible, gory bits out of it, and just like understanding what people, or what I guess people in that position go through, that could be a horror story. So it's like a double layered horror story. My other question is where and when can I buy Sky's album and see her in concert? Because it was so convincing. Like, I was listening to the songs and I was like, wait, have I heard this before? And it was just so well done and so convincing. And you said last night about how you wanted it to be like you needed to be invested in the character. And I think like what did you do to make it so realistic from a pop star's perspective?
Well, it was very important to me to build credibility around this pop star, and I really was interested in trying to sort of blur the lines between fiction and reality and create a pop star that felt real, like she existed in our world. What I was chasing was hopefully, we have 5 original songs in the film, and Interscope Records has just released the EP. It's available now.
Excellent!
Yeah.
They're bangers. Go and get them.
But we wanted to the goal, which was a very intense, lofty goal, was to create something where after the fact people would sort of take the music home with them and be like, I wish there was more. That was my hope.
Absolutely. I mean, I was literally listening to it being like, I feel one minute I was seeing like flashes of like a Demi Lovato, and then a Lady Gaga, and then a Miley Cyrus. And I love that you kind of like took all of those elements of those people's stories that we've seen. But what I would love to know is, when you reference like a fandom or behavior of people, did you have experts that you went to? Did you have a niece or a nephew or a family member that you were like, so when you talk about like the Jonas Brothers, like, or was this all from here?
So, I did a really deep dive into a lot of these pop stars. I watched every documentary and every interview, and read every article and essay that I could. And then, I just tried to absorb as much as I could from sort of cultural conversations that are happening all around us constantly. I think we're at sort of this like peak parasocial relationship with celebrity and fandoms with sort of the targets of their fandom, and nothing is bigger than pop in the world right now. And so it felt like just like a really exciting place to go.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but now this person has spoken about it, so I feel like it's okay. Because I literally walked out of the film and I was like, what am I going to talk about? Like, without spoiling everything. But Drew Barrymore. Wild to have the Scream Queen herself, like one of the OGs.
Oh, yeah.
In such a pin drop moment in the story. Like, I feel like it wasn't just like a flash, it wasn't just like, oh, here's Drew. It's really important part of the story.
Totally.
Talk to me about working with her and how that came about, and that process of like shooting it where you shot it.
Yeah. Well, so, again, going back to that idea of sort of blurring the lines between fiction and reality, I sort of came upon this concept or this idea of how I was going to introduce Skye to the audience, and I wanted to put her on a talk show, but a real talk show. And so Drew felt like the perfect person to do it. So I wrote the scene, and I sent it to Drew along with a letter, and telling her how much I loved her and how exciting I thought this would be. And she was so gracious. She responded right away, and she said she was in, and then she invited us into her set and was such an amazing host. And I'm such a fan of Drew Barrymore. She's an absolute icon, and it was just really, really exciting to get to do.
Blown away. It truly did blur the lines quite physically, and I think there's a part where people need to watch in that scene where it goes from you're like watching it on a TV to being in real life, and it literally sucks you in. The last thing I wanted to ask you about was Naomi was absolutely brilliant, and even said in some of her interviews that she co-wrote some of the songs. Do you have a favorite? I know that you said your favorite scene was a scene involving a car situation, which I agree with you. That's brilliant. But did you have a favorite moment of like working with the cast on anything else in the film other than that?
I mean, so many favorite moments. Certainly, there's one in the back half of the film involving. It's in her apartment. It involves more than one Smiler.
Stop. That scared the fuck out of me. I was like, I'm not going to be able to go home and sleep.
I love that scene dearly. The opening scene was another one that was such an enormous logistical challenge to pull that off in a single unbroken shot. And, that's another darling of mine. But there's a lot of really, fun scenes in this film.
It's so good. I would never normally say this, but it's better than the first one, and I just can't wait for people to see it. So thank you for just outdoing your own work.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much. It's very kind of you to say.
Thank you.